What happens when one of Hollywood's most carefully controlled stars suddenly loses that control? Live on daytime television, in front of millions, when the cameras are rolling and there's nowhere to hide. Before we go any further, pause for just a second. If you love explosive celebrity moments, untold behind-the-scenes tension, and stories that feel more intense than a movie scene itself, subscribe to Celeb Plus Tales right now. Like this video, drop a comment, and stay with us, because what you're about to hear isn't just an interview gone wrong. It's a moment that shocked an entire studio. The lights inside the View studio glow warm and harmless, the kind of light that's meant to feel safe. Friendly. Inviting. The applause sign flickers on, the audience claps on cue, and everything feels exactly as it always does. Polished smiles. Practiced laughter. Another celebrity guest, another controlled conversation. At least, that's what everyone thinks. Leonardo DiCaprio sits in his chair, posture relaxed but not careless. He's done this hundreds of times. Red carpets. Press junkets. Talk shows where the questions are predictable and the answers are safe. He wears that familiar half-smile, the one that says is present but guarded, charming but careful. To most people watching at home, he looks calm, comfortable, unbothered. But beneath that calm surface, something is already tightening. Across from him, Whoopi Goldberg leans back slightly, hands folded, eyes sharp behind her glasses. She's not just a host, she's an institution. Decades of experience. A woman who's seen Hollywood chew people up and spit them out. She's laughed with presidents, challenged billionaires, and never once apologized for asking uncomfortable questions. The conversation starts smoothly. Too smoothly. They talk about Leonardo's latest film, another critically praised performance, another role steeped in moral complexity. Whoopi compliments his work, calling it powerful and necessary. The audience nods along. Applause ripples softly. Leonardo thanks her, voice measured. It's a story I felt needed to be told, he says. Safe. Neutral. Approved. Joy Behar cracks a joke. Sonny Hostin smiles. Sarah Haynes leans forward, interested. Everything feels routine, like a well-rehearsed dance. Then Whoopi tilts her head. You've always chosen roles that carry a message, she says, her tone casual, but not careless. Whether it's climate change, corruption, or power. Do you ever worry that Hollywood activism becomes more about image than impact? The studio doesn't react at first. The question floats in the air, light but pointed. Leonardo chuckles softly, brushing it off. I think awareness is always a good thing, he replies. If people are talking, that's a start. Whoopi nods, but she doesn't move on. Is it? She asks. Because some people feel that talking from a place of extreme privilege can feel disconnected. The audience shifts. You can hear it, the subtle rustle of bodies adjusting in seats. Leonardo's smile tightens just a fraction. He crosses his legs, uncrosses them. I don't see it that way, he says carefully. I try to use the platform I have responsibly. Whoopi leans forward now. Her elbows rest on the table. Her voice lowers, not louder, but heavier. Responsibly, she repeats. Like flying private jets to climate conferences. There it is. A murmur ripples through the audience. Someone gasps. Someone laughs nervously. The camera cuts to Leonardo's face, and for the first time, the mask slips. His jaw tightens. His eyes flicker, not with anger yet, but with calculation. I've addressed that before, he says. It's a complicated issue. Whoopi doesn't back down. She never does. It's only complicated if you don't want to answer it plainly, she says. People watching right now are struggling to pay bills, deal with heat waves, floods. And they see celebrities telling them to change their lifestyles while not changing their own. The studio feels smaller suddenly. Hotter. The laughter track is gone. No applause sign lights up. Just silence. Leonardo shifts in his seat. He inhales slowly, then exhales through his nose. With respect, he says, I don't think this is the place for a gotcha moment. The word gotcha lands hard. Whoopi raises an eyebrow. This isn't a gotcha. This is a conversation. Then let it be a fair one. Leonardo snaps back, the edge in his voice impossible to miss now. Not a soundbite designed to make headlines. The audience reacts instantly. A wave of whispers. Someone claps, then stops, unsure. The hosts exchange quick glances. Joy Behar opens her mouth, then closes it. Whoopi doesn't flinch. Headlines come when people feel you're avoiding accountability, she says calmly. And accountability is something you often ask of others. For a moment, Leonardo says nothing. The silence stretches. The camera holds on his face, close enough to catch the tension in his brow, the way his fingers curl against the armrest. Inside his head, a storm is brewing. He didn't come here for this. He came to promote a film, to talk art, to control the narrative, not to be cornered into defending choices he's already justified to himself 1,000 times. I'm not avoiding anything, he says finally. But I won't sit here and be painted as a hypocrite. Whoopi's voice remains steady, but firmer now. Then don't give people reasons to think you are. The air cracks. Leonardo leans forward, elbows on his knees. You know, he says, it's easy to criticize from a chair. It's harder to actually do something. The audience audibly reacts. A sharp inhale sweeps the room. Sonny Hostin looks stunned. Sarah Haynes glances toward the producers off camera. Whoopi straightens. I've been doing something my entire life, she replies. And I don't lecture people while exempting myself. That's when Leonardo laughs, but there's no humor in it. This is exactly what I mean, he says. This isn't dialogue. It's performance. Whoopi's eyes harden. So is walking away when questions get uncomfortable. The words hang there, heavy and prophetic. Leonardo freezes. For a split second, it looks like he might recover. Like he'll pivot, soften, find the diplomatic exit he's famous for. The studio waits, breath held. Instead, he stands up. The movement is sudden. Chairs scrape. Microphones shift. The audience erupts into gasps. I didn't come here to be disrespected, he says, voice raised now, emotion breaking through control. If that's what this is, I'm done. Joy Behar reaches out instinctively. Leo, wait. But he's already pulling off his MIC. Whoopi watches him, expression unreadable. That's your choice, she says quietly. Leonardo turns toward the audience, then toward the cameras. His face is flushed now, jaw clenched, eyes blazing. Make sure you show all of this, he says, pointing vaguely. Not just the parts that fit your narrative. And with that, he walks. The studio is chaos. Producers rush in from the sides. The audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Some people do both. The camera struggles to keep up as Leonardo disappears behind the curtain, the echo of his footsteps louder than the applause ever was. Whoopi exhales slowly, then turns back to the table. Well, she says, voice steady but heavy, that happened. The screen fades, but the moment doesn't. Because what just unfolded wasn't just a walkout. It was the beginning of a firestorm. And as the studio tries to regain control, somewhere backstage, Leonardo DiCaprio is pacing, anger colliding with regret, while millions at home are already pulling out their phones, ready to replay, dissect, and choose sides. And this story is only just beginning. Backstage, the hallway feels colder than the studio lights ever did. The hum of production fades behind Leonardo DiCaprio as he storms past crew members who suddenly find the floor fascinating. No one stops him. No one knows how. His footsteps echo sharply, each one landing like punctuation at the end of a sentence he never planned to write. His heart is racing, not the thrilling kind he gets before a premiere, but the kind that tightens his chest. Anger, embarrassment, disbelief, all tangled together. He runs a hand through his hair, pacing near a blank wall plastered with outdated show posters. Unbelievable, he mutters under his breath. A producer approaches cautiously, hands raised like they are dealing with a live wire. Leo, let's just take a second. I took my second out there, Leonardo snaps, not looking at him. That wasn't an interview. That was an ambush. The producer hesitates. Whoopi's style is not my problem, Leonardo cuts in. I was respectful. She wanted blood. Behind the curtain, the show is still live. The camera returns to the table. The hosts sit frozen for a beat too long, the kind of silence that feels deafening on television. Whoopi adjusts her glasses, her face calm, but her jaw tight. Joy Behar breaks first. Well, that escalated quickly. A nervous ripple of laughter moves through the audience, thin and uncertain. Sonny Hostin leans forward. Let's be clear, she says carefully. This was not planned. These conversations are real, and sometimes real conversations get uncomfortable. Whoopi nods slowly. People walk away when they don't want to answer questions, she says. That's not new. The words are measured, but sharp. The control room is chaos. Producers shout over one another. Cut to commercial. No, stay live. Get legal on the line. But it's too late. Clips are already spreading. In the audience, phones are out despite the rules. Someone whispers, "Did that really just happen?" Another shakes their head, eyes wide. A woman in the third row looks torn, half thrilled, half disturbed. Backstage, Leonardo's phone buzzes relentlessly. His publicist. His manager. Missed calls stack up like dominoes. He finally answers. "What the hell just happened?" his publicist demands, voice tight with panic. "They tried to corner me," Leonardo says, still pacing. "I wasn't going to sit there and be made an example of." There's a pause on the line. A long one. "You walked out on The View," she says slowly. "Live. With Whoopi Goldberg." "I know exactly where I was," he replies. "You can't do that," she says. "You don't walk out. You deflect. You soften. You smile." Leonardo stops pacing. "I'm done smiling through disrespect." Another pause. This one heavier. "Twitter is already exploding," she adds quietly. Cut to outside the studio. Fans and onlookers stand behind barricades, some cheering, some confused. A few are refreshing their feeds obsessively. A man in a baseball cap reads aloud from his phone. Leonardo DiCaprio storms off The View after Whoopi calls him out on climate hypocrisy. "Damn," someone says. "That was fast." Inside the studio, Whoopi leans back in her chair during the commercial break. The other hosts turn toward her. "Are you okay?" Sarah Haynes asks softly. Whoopi exhales. "I'm fine." Joy tilts her head. "You knew he wouldn't like that question." "I knew," Whoopi replies. "But I didn't think he'd run." Sunny crosses her arms. "He felt attacked." Whoopi's gaze sharpens. Feeling attacked isn't the same as being attacked. The lights flicker again. They are back in 3, 2. Whoopi faces the camera. "We want to remind everyone," she says, voice steady, "that dialogue matters. Walking away ends conversation, but it doesn't end accountability." The audience applauds, louder this time. More confident. Back in the hallway, Leonardo finally sits down, elbows on his knees, head bowed. The adrenaline is wearing off, replaced by something heavier. Regret. Or resentment. A staffer offers him water. He takes it without looking, hands shaking just enough to notice. His manager arrives, breathless. "You okay?" Leonardo looks up. "Do I look okay?" His manager sighs. "We need to control this. Now." "How?" Leonardo asks. "They've already decided who I am." "No," his manager says. "They've decided who they think you are. There's a difference." Leonardo laughs bitterly. Doesn't feel like it. Cut to social media. Clips loop endlessly. The moment Whoopi says private jets. The pause. Leonardo standing up. The walkout. Each second dissected, slowed, captioned. Comments fly. He couldn't handle the truth. Whoopi crossed the line. Respect Leo for standing his ground. Another rich man throwing a tantrum. Hashtags trend. #Leo walks out. #The View clash. #Whoopi vs Leo. Celebrities weigh in. A late-night host jokes about it. A political commentator praises Whoopi. An environmental activist tweets, "Accountability shouldn't scare you." Leonardo watches it all unfold from his car as it pulls away from the studio. The city blurs past the window, but his thoughts stay trapped in that chair, that table, that moment. He replays it again and again. What if he'd answered differently? What if he'd laughed it off? What if he'd stayed? His phone buzzes again. A text from a fellow actor, rough spot. "But you'll be fine." Media moves on. Will it? Back at the studio, the show wraps. The audience exits buzzing, voices overlapping. "That was wild. I didn't expect that from him." She didn't let up. He looked hurt. Whoopi lingers at the table long after the cameras stop. A producer approaches. "You sure you don't want to issue a statement?" Whoopi shakes her head. "I said what I said. On camera. But people are calling it confrontational." She looks up. Truth usually is. Outside, paparazzi swarm Leonardo's car as it slows at a light. Cameras flash. Questions fly. "Leo, do you regret walking out? Was Whoopi out of line? Are you going to apologize?" The window stays up. The car drives on. That night, news segments replay the clip with dramatic music. Pundits argue. Panels debate. Everyone has an opinion. But no one knows what happens next. Because behind closed doors, conversations are happening. Lawyers, publicists, network executives. all asking the same question. Did Leonardo DiCaprio just damage his carefully built image? Or did he reveal something far more human? And somewhere across town, Whoopi Goldberg sits quietly, watching the coverage with a neutral expression, knowing one thing for certain. This isn't over. Not even close. Morning comes fast, and it comes loud. Leonardo DiCaprio wakes to the sharp buzz of his phone vibrating against the nightstand, screen lighting up the dark room like an accusation. Notifications stack on top of each other, missed calls, texts, emails marked urgent. For a moment, he considers ignoring all of it, pretending the night before was just another bad dream. But the weight in his chest tells him it wasn't. He sits up, rubs his face, and finally opens one message. His publicist again. We need a response today. Not a suggestion. A countdown. He swings his legs out of bed and stares at the floor, the echo of Whoopi's voice replaying in his head. Private jets. The word feels heavier in the quiet morning than it did under studio lights. Across the city, Whoopi Goldberg is already awake. She's been up for hours, coffee untouched, television muted but flashing images she's already seen 100 times. Her own face fills the screen, calm, unflinching, as Leonardo stands and walks away. A producer's voice echoes faintly in her memory. Are you sure you want to go there? She had been sure. Now, she isn't second-guessing the question, but she knows the storm it's caused. Back at Leonardo's house, the crisis meeting begins. His manager sits at the kitchen island. His publicist paces. A legal advisor joins via speakerphone. The air is tight, heavy with urgency. We framed this as passion, the publicist says. You felt attacked. You reacted emotionally. You're human. I was attacked, Leonardo replies. Perception matters more than intent, the manager counters. Right now, perception is not on your side. Leonardo clenches his jaw. So what? I apologize for having boundaries. You apologize for the moment, not the belief, the publicist says. You say you respect dialogue, even when it's uncomfortable. Leonardo laughs without humor. That dialogue didn't feel mutual. Doesn't matter, she says gently. It has to sound like it was. Across town, Whoopi's phone rings. A friend. Another host. A former co-star. You okay? They ask. Whoopi smiles faintly. I've been called worse than confrontational. But she can feel it too, the cultural shift humming beneath the noise. This isn't just about one interview. It's about who gets to ask questions and who gets to walk away from them. On social media, the tone sharpens. Clips are remixed with dramatic music. Side-by-side comparisons appear. Leonardo's speeches about climate change paired with footage of private planes. Some fair, some exaggerated, some outright false. Memes explode. One shows Leonardo standing up from the table with the caption, "When accountability enters the room." Another fires back, "When respect leaves the building." Fans divide into camps. Loyalty versus principle. Admiration versus expectation. A climate activist posts a long thread defending Whoopi. An actor posts a vague message about ambush journalism. Everyone is speaking. No one is listening. Leonardo finally posts. A black background. White text. I believe in open conversation, even when it's challenging. Yesterday's exchange became heated, and I chose to step away. I respect the platform and the people on it. My commitment to environmental advocacy remains unchanged. The internet refreshes. Pour in instantly. That's it. Sounds like a PR apology. At least he said something. He didn't even mention Whoopi. Within minutes, pundits dissect every word. Chose to step away. Became heated. Passive language. Safe language. Whoopi reads the statement later that afternoon. She doesn't scoff. She doesn't smile. She just nods once. That tracks, she murmurs. On The View, producers debate whether to address it again. Ratings from the episode are through the roof. The highest spike in months. People want conflict, one producer says. They want honesty, another counters. Whoopi listens quietly, then speaks. If we talk about it again, we talk about the issue, not the man. Meanwhile, Leonardo sits alone in his home theater, watching the clip again, this time without sound. He studies his own body language. The tightening shoulders. The abrupt stand. The walkout that now defines the moment. He leans back, eyes closed. Was it pride? Was it exhaustion? Or was it something deeper, being confronted with the gap between who he believes he is and how he's seen? A call comes in. He almost ignores it. It's an old friend. Someone who's known him long before the awards, before the speeches. "You okay?" the voice asks. Leonardo exhales. "I don't know." "Look," the friend says. "You've spent years telling people to face uncomfortable truths. Maybe this is one of yours." The line goes quiet. Across the city, Whoopi sits in her dressing room, removing her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose. A junior staffer knocks softly. "Ms. Goldberg, do you regret it?" Whoopi looks up. Her eyes are tired, but clear. "No," she says. "I regret that it needed to be asked." That answer makes its way online within hours. And just like that, the narrative shifts again. Suddenly, it's not just about Leonardo walking out. It's about power, platforms, responsibility, who gets challenged, and who decides when the conversation ends. Late-night shows stop joking. Op-eds appear. One headline reads, "When celebrities demand change, should they expect it of themselves?" Another counters, "Public shaming disguised as dialogue." Leonardo watches these headlines pile up, realizing something crucial. This moment isn't fading. It's evolving. And no matter what he does next, speak, stay silent, apologize again, the question will follow him. Not just into interviews, but onto red carpets, into award speeches, into every room where someone might finally ask, "What happens when the narrative turns on you?" And as the noise grows louder, both Leonardo DiCaprio and Whoopi Goldberg understand the same truth. The real confrontation is still ahead. The fallout doesn't fade, it crystallizes. By the end of the week, the moment has stopped being news and started becoming reference. Commentators no longer say, "Did you see what happened?" They say, "Like what happened on The View." The walkout becomes shorthand for something bigger: celebrity discomfort, public accountability, the thin line between admiration and scrutiny. Leonardo DiCaprio steps onto a red carpet 3 days later. Flashbulbs erupt like fireworks, but the questions don't follow the script. "Leo, any comment on Whoopi Goldberg? Do you still stand by walking out? Is Hollywood finally being held accountable?" He smiles. The practiced smile. The one that used to work. But it doesn't land the same. He answers politely, vaguely, then moves on. But the clip circulates anyway, edited to show the hesitation before he speaks. People slow it down, analyze his eyes, his pauses, his posture. Silence is now treated like a statement. Inside, Leonardo feels the shift. Rooms feel different. Conversations stop when he enters, then resume carefully. Supportive friends reassure him, but there's an unspoken understanding. Something has changed. Not his career, his image. Across town, Whoopi Goldberg returns to the table on The View. The audience applause is louder than usual, heavier with meaning. She doesn't smile immediately. She waits, lets it pass. When she speaks, her voice is calm. "I want to say something," she tells the audience. "Not about a person, but about a moment." The studio stills. "Walking away is a choice," she continues. "So is staying. And sometimes, staying is harder." No names. No accusations. The applause comes anyway. Clips of that line spread just as fast as the walkout did. This time, the comments read differently. She didn't gloat. She stood her ground. This is what accountability looks like. Leonardo watches that clip late at night, alone again. He doesn't feel angry this time. He feels tired. He thinks about the causes he cares about, the speeches he's given, the belief that intent should count for something. And for the first time, he considers that impact might matter more. Weeks pass. The internet moves on, mostly. But the moment lingers in quieter ways. A question slipped into interviews. A raised eyebrow during panels. A pause before applause. Leonardo adjusts. He listens more. Speaks less. When asked about activism, he answers differently, not defensively, not perfectly, but more honestly. Whoopi moves on too. She always does. But people still stop her on the street. "Thank you for asking what no one else would." She nods. That's enough. In the end, there's no winner. No apology tour. No dramatic reconciliation. Just a moment, raw, uncomfortable, human. Caught on live television, reminding everyone watching that fame doesn't erase questions, and walking away doesn't erase them either. Now it's your turn. Did Leonardo DiCaprio have the right to walk out? Did Whoopi Goldberg go too far, or not far enough? Tell us what you think in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you want more explosive, cinematic celebrity stories that take you inside the moments everyone else just summarizes, subscribe to Celeb Plus Tales right now. Because the next confrontation might be even bigger.